Imagine waking up to find your savings tied up in your dream home reduced to nothing but ashes and discovering your insurance won't even cover it. Sounds like a nightmare, right? Right now, for thousands of Californians, it's a reality. But the real shocker is that it isn't just a local crisis. It's a ticking time bomb threatening to detonate the broader economy in general. So what's driving this perfect storm? It's a combination of many things, which is a migration misstep where thousands of families have flocked to areas that have been known for being risky areas where the probability of events occurring were always high. The next thing is insurance chaos. The way the industry is set up is not designed to take on such losses that we're witnessing right now in our country, so someone's gonna be left out. And then last, you factor in the probability of weather manipulation. It spells for a high probability that all these events are strategically being done to accomplish a much more sinister plan. But then again, it shouldn't be nothing new if you've been paying attention. Let's talk about this one. All right, so I want to take a quick minute, share some thoughts in reference to just some of the news coming out about what's happening in California, as well as the other events that we've experienced throughout the last year or two, dealing with the weather and the unfortunate losses that people are taking. And it's real sad to see some of these stories that I'm hearing about how people are losing their entire life savings that's tied up in their home. But then again, that's the type of economy we're in now, to where everyone was taught that your home is your greatest savings vehicle. But then again, we're witnessing that concept being challenged right now as insurance companies are having issues being able to pay on some of those promises. So in this video here, I'm going to talk about a couple of things that caught my attention. Of course, if you guys are interested in seeing more of these little quick takes, definitely hit that thumbs up button, drop a comment down below, let me know your thoughts, and if you're new, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an update. But first and foremost, let's talk about the migration situation, because for a lot, it's starting to look like people were building castles in the sand. And what I mean by that, well, it's been decades now where Americans have flocked to sunny states like California and Florida, drawn by the promises of sunshine, the opportunity to come with that, as well as the luxury. But here's the catch. They've been building their future in regions perhaps nature never meant for such mass habitation. It's not too surprising that in California, it's basically a desert type region that's been plagued with droughts and wildfires consistently throughout the years, regardless of how some people think they've been started. And then you have Florida, which sits in a hurricane belt. So every year there are concerns of the next hurricane, but then every 4 or 5 years or so, there's a major hurricane that comes through and seems to completely decimate the areas along the coastal regions. So it's like trying to plant a garden in quicksand. Eventually, a disaster is going to be inevitable. So right now, the numbers are staggering. So recent fires in Los Angeles have caused an estimated $150 billion in damages. High-end neighborhoods like Pacific Palisades have been completely devastated, leaving thousands of homeless and uninsured. So the question is, why are so many homes uninsured? Because insurers are backing out faster than you can say climate risk. And so 7 of the 12 largest insurance companies in California have paused new policies, and existing homeowners skyrocketing premiums or outright cancellations. And so think about this. Would you actually go out and buy a car if you know that no one would insure you? Homes are no different. Uninsurable properties lose value faster than the ice melting in the Californian sun. So basically that drags the whole entire community down with it. The next thing that we're going to hear a lot more about is the fact that the insurance chaos that will come from this will be something that can drag the entire economy down. And so the domino effect of these insurance companies, they're not just the villains, because they're just businesses responding to skyrocketing costs. Fires, hurricanes, and other disasters have become so frequent and severe that homes, these high-risk areas, is like betting on a losing hand. So State Farm, for instance, recently pulled out of California markets, citing rising costs and unsustainable risk profile. So this isn't an isolated issue. It's a continuous domino effect that we're going to hear a lot about in the next couple of days and weeks. So here's where it gets even worse. When insurers leave, they take financial stability with them. So homeowners unable to insure their properties are left exposed to massive risk. So even if their home survived the next disaster, their value plummets because no one wants to buy an uninsurable house. So this creates what economists call a reverse wealth effect. So as home equity evaporates, people cut back on spending and sell off the other assets to make ends meet. So basically there's a rippling effect through the economy like aftershocks following an earthquake. A good analogy would be to imagine a balloon deflating. One minute, you have this inflated economy where everyone feels rich because their homes are worth millions. The next minute is flat. The housing market downturn begins on the coast, but quickly spreads inland, dragging the national economy into a financial crisis along with it. And of course, the last point worth touching on is the fact that, in my personal opinion, none of this is accidental. None of this is a pure natural disaster. A lot of this seems to smell very fishy. So first we had Hawaii last year, where we witnessed an entire region along the coastal area completely scorched down to the earth. And then down in Chile as well last year, we had a region that also experienced the same type of effects where it got so bad and it was so hot that even the rims on cars were melting. And so now we have California, where you have entire neighborhoods completely wiped out. And then you have 1 or 2 houses untouched. It just doesn't add up. So that's how I know that there's more to this equation than just what they would like for us to believe. And of course, what Gavin Newsom talks about, climate change. We all know that's suspect. But then again, that's being used, in my personal opinion, as a part of the globalist agenda, which they stated during the whole pandemic phase of trying to build back better. And so now we have Gavin Newsom coming out talking about Los Angeles 2.0, where they're going to begin building back and merging the public and private sector together to try to rebuild California in favor of the people. But we all know how that turns out. a lot of that land will be taken over by the government, and they may not see nowhere near the value of their land returned to them. Nevertheless, their ability to actually be compensated for their losses. Being drawn to areas that have always been suspect to whether it be natural disasters or intentional disasters caused by the globalists, the inability of insurance companies to be able to cover a lot of these houses in areas where money is drawn to. And then last, the greater plan of some type of reset is underway right now, of which all this property where these fires take place seem to be very important to some people. And of course, as time unfolds, we're going to find out what they are. But at the end of the day, the problem isn't just natural disasters. It's the financial fallout that's going to come from this. So insurance operates on a very delicate balance. And so premiums from the many fund claims for the few. But when disaster strikes too often, the balances collapse. So exit markets, leaving homeowners, governments, and taxpayers to pick up the pieces. So the cost of inaction will eventually be billions in losses, destabilizing economies, and a growing class of displaced people with nowhere to go. So it's not just about property anymore, it's about a systemic risk that's underway right now. So as loss spiral out of control, they could destabilize banks, investment funds, and even governments. So the same way a single spark can ignite a wildfire, one economic sector collapsing can set off an entire chain reaction where it impacts a lot of other things as well. And let's not forget the commercial real estate is already underwater. So the question that I want to leave you with, where do we go from here? So with fires burning in California, they aren't just destroying homes, they're exposing cracks in the foundation of our entire economic system. So from ill-planned migration to the insurance market failures and the growing impacts of weather weaponization, this crisis is just a wake-up call in my opinion. The question isn't just whether people can rebuild after the next disaster, it's whether our financial system can survive what's coming next. And so these are all things that are definitely worth considering, because one way or another, as all these losses pile up, the insurance companies won't be able to foot the bill. Who's going to step in? And this all is occurring at the same time that Donald Trump is set to take office next week. So you better believe something's going to come across his desk in the form of some type of bill, and then we'll see how he responds to that. Because usually when the losses start to pile up and it starts to impact other industries, that's when Uncle Sam steps in and tries to write a check. But then again, at this current moment, our credit ain't the greatest, so I'm not quite sure how the Doge department or Donald Trump's going to foot this bill. But then again, they'll always find a way. So that means more currency created, bigger deficits, and more currency debasement. That's what you can always expect. But once again, just share my 2 cents on this matter. Curious to hear your thoughts. If you found any value, hit that thumbs up button. Drop a comment down below, let me know your thoughts, and I look forward to catching you on the next video. Have a good day.